On behalf of Punjabi Chamber of Commerce, I welcome Mr. Parmi Cheema, who is a founder of Jobility and president of Samiti Technology International. Mr. Cheema carries over more than 20 years of experience in the staffing and IT industry. He is he holds an education from Hawaii Pacific University and has been an exemplary professional throughout his journey so far. And above all this, he is a trustee of Punjabi Chamber of Commerce and the platform actually which provides a community to come together, build themselves up economically, and contribute to the professionalism and the economy of other, I would say, the other businesses, other communities, other countries. And trust me, this Punjabi Chamber of Commerce that I am being associated with has been exemplary. We have seen the growth happening, we have seen networking happening, and that is all been possible with the pillars of strength behind them, the trustees who actually brought themselves together with a common vision of building a community which probably holds the minimal or is a minority in the world platform, but if you see the GDP that they contribute to the world, to the nation that they belong to, it's exemplary. And it was high time that somebody took that lead and brought every one of us together. And I'm very glad that I have Mr. Chima, who has been one of the trustees, but exemplary ones, who has entrepreneurship background, and of course his contribution. I would be, talking very candidly with him and understanding more as a thought leader, as a visionary behind PCC. Welcome, Mr. Chima.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's such a pleasure. It's a Friday evening, and yesterday we had Baisakhi, where probably everybody comes together in a place like Gurudwara, where we have a community build up, where we always say that there are five kakas, but at the same time we also contribute, saying that with a common thought that we have to give. Sikhism is all about giving. Punjabi culture is all about enjoyment, fun, but at the same time giving. So, if I may ask you, what was that one thought that made you come on a common platform with other trustees, and what was that one thing?
I think it's the burning desire in every Punjabi's heart is to help others. And when Gary came up with an idea that we need to create a platform where we can bring Punjabis together and then help other Punjabis, I was first one to jump, and I was very excited. And like you said, giving is part of our tenets, and I think this is one of the best ways for us to contribute to our creator community in US and in Punjab.
That's so fantastic. But then at the same time, I would want to know more about you, that as to what is it on your professional or a personal level, your interest or your favorite pastimes that actually brought you together with people like Mr. Gurpreet? Is it the golf?
Gary Gurpreet and I go way back. He's been a family friend for over 20 years, and Gary is a very strong pillar, and he always had fantastic ideas on how do we move forward, helping us. So we've been having multiple conversations over the years, and I think it's the common thread is actually being Punjabi and being in New Jersey. We've always thought about helping others, creating a platform where everyone can come in and share ideas and share thoughts and maybe contribute financially and spread the word and spread the community that we are.
Ms. Chima, what strikes me right now is that if you can talk a little about what Smithy technology is all about and being a founder of Jobility. So, we would love to hear something about this.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's the funny story is the name Samiti Technology. I grew up in the U.S. and having a name Samiti was always a question. And then the story actually goes way back when my dad actually started a company called Samiti Agro Services. He lived in Africa for most of our lives, and um, uh, when I was growing up listening to his company name, I would joke with him. I'm like, "What is Samiti? What kind of name is that? Come up with some, good, vibrant name." And he's like, "Yeah, when you get your own company, you can do that." So fast forward, 1998, I graduated. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna open a company, and I'm gonna have an amazing name. It took me 9 months trying to come up with the name, and I couldn't come up with the name. And back in the day, there was no internet services where you can search for names, right? So then I was like, man, Samiti,
I got it.
you
I
know,
got it.
and it used to be Samiti Marketing, went from Samiti Marketing to Samiti Technology, and now it's 20 years, 22 years since I've been carrying that name, and every time someone asks me that question, I look back and go, you know what, dads are always right. They know what they're doing, so
No, in fact, it's a very unique name. Unlike that, I can connect it with any Punjabi. I don't know, but then that's such a story that I could dig out from you. And what about Jobility? Like,
yeah. So Jobility is job mobility, is job ability. What we did was we looked at the staffing trends in the United States, uh, and decided that we want to build a technology that can enable um, hiring faster, efficient, and and so what we did was we created a platform where employers and workers can meet and can get matched. I jokingly also say it's like Tinder for jobs or Uber for jobs, where people can come in and say, "Listen, I want to work 4 hours a day or 3 days a week, and this is my availability." And based on that, we'll find them gigs in the desired area where they are. With desired gigs, they can go work there and then get paid on the platform. So it's a very dynamic marketplace where people can get matched, get paid, find work, and make extra money.
super.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really making me think as to. I'm glad that I connected with you personally. But having said that, every Punjabi has a favorite singer, and every Punjabi follows a sport. And I would love to know something that is your favorite, a sport and a Punjabi singer.
My favorite sport is running. I'm a runner. I run marathons all over. I think that gives me the time that I need out of, everybody. We all are busy people, but I find time running to be a very therapeutical sport. It's my time. There's no one around me. I run on my own. I can think, so yeah, running has been great. Punjabi singer, and that's a tough one. Uh, I would say Sukshinder Sindha.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unlike somebody would have just said Diljit maybe or that Guru Randhawa. But I think
Diljit,
that Chinda is great.
yeah, Diljit Dosanjh actually performed at my daughter's first birthday.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, in 2000 I think it was 2007 or 2008. He was just getting his start, and we were all hanging out, and he did an amazing job. But then
Wow.
again, after that, he just became a big celebrity. But yeah, he was at our at my daughter's first
So you've
birthday
been a
party.
lucky charm for him, I would say that.
He's a great guy. I listen to his music. He's a great personality. He's definitely a person to look up to. Very hardworking guy.
You know what, Mr. Chima, whatever that I'm asking you is coming all naturally to me. But then what I see is there is so much that I'm able to, get out of you with these instinctive questions, and I'm glad.
No,
Now
you've
there is
been.
one thing, yeah. So a question to you from your marathon I'll pick up. Marathon is generally run for long distances. How would you relate that to your profession or your life path?
One thing I'll say is, and this is a lesson that I've learned over the last 20, 25 years, n- you gotta play a long game. You know, quick gratification, short-term goals are good in some ways, but in most of the time, you gotta play a long game. You gotta look at your life cycle and say, okay, where you want to be in 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and play that game. If you're going to try to earn money quick or try to reach success quick, that's good, but what goes up quick also comes down quick. And I run short distance. I run half marathons as well. But I find that, running longer gives you gives you patience. It gives you energy, stamina to actually plan for the last 6 miles. They say in marathon race starts at mile 20. So the first 20 miles you're just trying to get up for that 6 miles. And if you look at that in business, I think your first few years, you're just laying foundation. You're building processes. You're making mistakes, and you're learning from them. But the game is after those few years. Where do you want to be? And I think for business and marathon for me, it's the same. It's a long
Yeah,
game. You got to be patient. You got to work hard. You have to maintain discipline. You cannot run too fast first 10 miles and get tired. Same in business. You cannot try to grow too fast when you don't have an infrastructure to support that.
right.
So it's a long game. You have to plan it out, make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, adapt, and then finish your goal, achieve your goal.
Yes, it's a great learning lesson as well. I think whosoever is going to listen to this is going to get benefited, especially the young entrepreneurs who probably are in a hurry to make money, having a startup and then selling it off. And what do you think about that?
Man, I wish I was young because I would do the same.
No, you can have a startup. You can have a startup.
It's and there are people like that who are very smart and they
Yeah,
know what to do. And I think I'm not against that. I think it's okay if you have that ability and if you have that energy and get that done quicker, more power. But majority of the people have to, you know, not the word struggle, but they have to persevere. They have to take time. Everybody's not very lucky, and everybody doesn't have people backing them all the time. So yeah, if you can do it, do it, but always have a backup plan that in case you don't, don't fall and just get disappointed. It's okay.
right.
Get up again and do it again, and otherwise plan for a long game.
Yeah, what you just said is get up, do it again, then get up if you fall down. It's such a lesson. Uh, I think as an entrepreneur, you would have felt these lows and highs. How if you can just highlight as to your very low and probably your very high, uh, that would be again an experience.
There's so many. Uh,
Okay.
and, I tell my kids this that it's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes and, learn from those mistakes and get up and again, go at it. Don't give up, and I've made a lot of mistakes. My lows have been so low that, um, I've actually lived in my sister's, bathroom for 6 months and delivered pizza. I've lost a lot of money in businesses. I made many, many mistakes, but that's okay. We're humans. We are supposed to make mistakes. But the other part of being human is to learn from those mistakes. I say, I don't know everything. I try to learn from other people. And if there's no one to guide me, I'll try it. I'm not going to not do it because I'm scared. I've taken steps that have costed me a lot of money. I made mistakes that have pushed my business back. But end of the day, we're growing. Year over year, we keep growing. We take dips, but then we come back stronger, and that's
Right.
part of life. You are gonna have that. If you're going like this, there's a possibility that you might come back. But if you go like that, you're stable, you're strong, you're building infrastructure, you're building processes. So if there's a dip, you're ready to support yourself. So a lot of mistakes made, a lot of lessons learned, and I'm sure I'm gonna keep making those mistakes, till I'm in business. So I think it's okay to make mistakes and learn from them.
So in your professional life, do you forgive people who are working under you or who are working along with you? Forgiveness.
That's a Punjabi problem.
Yeah, that's why I asked you.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's where they say, "I wish I was not a Punjabi." We're emotional people.
Yeah.
I try my best, and I try, but being a Punjabi, I tell them, listen, you're dealing with a Punjabi, you're gonna see my wrath and you're gonna see my emotions. So
Yes.
it's a tough one. That's a tough one. But I think we all make mistakes. Where are we gonna go by pissing people off or not? It's okay. You make mistakes. You can stay angry, but end of the day, a couple of years later, you shake hands and you say, "Hey, man, wow, that was stupid," but it's okay. But yeah, I blame this to Punjabi blood.
No, I can actually relate that. That's why, I didn't hesitate to ask a question.
Yep.
So no offense meant.
No,
Um,
no, it's Punjabi
because
blood. It's okay.
no, it's like, being part of a community which has so much to give, and there is a rush of blood in us that
Oh yeah.
we want the thing to happen. Something just gets into our head. We really want it to happen. We want to motivate people. We want to get everybody together and at least be the first ones to start. So if you can think of any of these instances as a teenager, as a young boy, something that struck you, or that you started off, or somebody just pushed you in and you followed somebody where you were a starter?
Uh, I think it's just, you know, I, I'm, I just want a lot. I just want to help. I want to do a lot of things. I want to achieve a lot of goals. And there's a lot of people in our community that have done phenomenal. And look at them, and I say, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it. And for me, my motivation drives from other people, whether they're Punjabis or non-Punjabis. Um, there's too many people to mention, but yeah, for as a young guy, not anymore, but I've always wanted to be, following the people who've shown us light, in New Jersey or even in California. You see some of the Punjabis, they've done amazingly well, and you look at it, at them and say, you know what, that's amazing. They're trailblazers. They've laid a path for us. Let's follow that. So
Yeah, that's something very, very important for youngsters to follow. So what do you think, like, if I may ask you, your family has been a support to you for the mistakes and the ups and downs and lows
yeah,
that you've had? You just mentioned that, there's a lot of money that you lost. So how did your family react to that?
I was living in a bathroom for 6 months.
That was
So
your sisters. That was
yeah.
your sisters, and now you're a wife to do deal with it.
Yeah, listen, my wife, like, wife is 50. She's half, right? So, she's been there through thick and thin. We both are in the same field in technology. And when, after many losses, I started again, it was her income that supported us for many years. Um, so I think without a strong family, it's very hard for anyone to grow. You have to come back to a home where you're comforted and you're supported, because business is brutal. When you have money on the line or your time on the line, and it doesn't pay you the way you want to pay, not in financial terms, but in growth or in anything. You want to have someone when you come home to support you, whether it's your mom, dad, or wife, or brothers, sisters. I think family is everything. They
Very
carry
well.
you when you need them.
Yes, absolutely. That is one thing. And another is your community, that, such a big step that you got into, supporting the chamber as a trustee. So when I say a word trustee, people would want to have trust in you. Amongst all trustees, you have a trust amongst yourselves. So what is it that, did you pick and choose people that you wanted on the trust, or is it just it happened with PCC? Because I'm part of it, so I'm excited to know.
uh, although Gary and I, we started talking a long time ago, but Gary's a big community pillar here. Gary knows people. I don't think I know anyone who knows more people than Gary does. He put a really solid group of people together. Our board of trustees, even our board of directors, are very, very solid. We meet. We used to meet a lot before COVID. We had a meeting, I think, last month, and it was good to see everybody. And I think everyone brings a level of professionalism, sophistication, entrepreneurship, to give this chamber a solid foundation. So, I was not a big part in selecting, but I've known a lot of people being in the community. So I think the group that have gotten together to form PCC, I think is a great, great group.
Yes, absolutely. It's actually sitting here in India, we get connected to so many of us abroad or within India itself, We were never in touch. We didn't know how to connect. And it's a great initiative, I would say, that thought leaders like you who got together. How would you think you would like to motivate the youth, the Punjabi youth, to be part of a community like this?
That's a big goal. That's a big task. Um, and I'll relate my story is when I was growing up younger, I didn't want anything to do with Punjabis or Indian community. Simple. Growing up, I want to be with others. I always felt that, oh, our community is too backwards or, is not too cool. I don't want to be hanging out with, Indians. I grew up in Hawaii and there was 40 Indian families. That was it. So first of all, we never had the exposure of, the Indian community or Indian culture. But then as I was growing up and I started, America is a melting pot of many, many cultures and people. I started growing up with the white people, the black people, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Europeans, and then you start realizing that you know what, you as an Indian or Punjabi, you're as good and cool as them. We just don't. We're not just confident about ourselves. We just have to, kind of stand up and say, this is how we do things. We don't have to copy the way everyone else does. And and I kept my, well, not my faith in terms of having a pug, but in terms of my culture, in terms of my religious teachings. I this is who I am. And it was a challenge, but then when you stand up, people recognize it. So even to the youth, I think it's okay. You gotta mingle with other people, you gotta learn other cultures, but be proud of who you are, because you'll never change who you are. You're always going to stay Punjabi, you're always going to stay Indian. And what we grew up with is very special. I think Punjabi culture, Punjabi teachings, Sikh teachings are very unique.
Yes,
And no matter what you say, it is, I think it's one of the best cultures or religion in the world.
absolutely. Very rightly said, one of the unique ones. And it's one of the youngest religions, which is
Yes.
actually brought everyone together in the sense, the essence of Sikhism. But PCC is not about religion, politics, or community as such. We don't get into that. But definitely the background behind Punjabi Chamber is the ethics, the the followings of our teachings that we've had. So that's the essence that I get it. So there is a little, I was just watching the Sikh parade happening in New York every Vaisakhi. I don't know whether you've been part of that. That's such an exciting thing that happens.
I think when I moved to New York, the first year I went there, it was
Oh,
amazing. Yeah, it
yeah,
was it was a great parade, and in the end, we all got together in a park and we had a amazing langar, and everybody hung out, and you got to meet to see how wide our community is.
yeah,
You think New York, but then the greater New York is huge, and whenever you
yes.
put everybody together, you see our strength, and it was amazing. But yeah, it's coming. New York is not far from Jersey, but getting there for a parade is a challenge. I want to take
Yes.
my kids there one day, but they're still too young. But yeah,
Is it?
we watched it on TV as well. So,
Oh, we would love to. We would love to hear something about your kids because it's the second time that
oh
so
yeah, it's
yeah.
all about the kids. They say I got two girls, 8 and 14, and they're amazing.
I
One is
think,
going through their teenager years, a little bit of
wow,
challenge.
you got it. You got it.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah,
We can
that's
relate. We went through all that, so no, they're amazing. That's gives you a reason to live and a reason to do things.
And if I may ask, that you are an entrepreneur, you are a trustee on PCC, you must be part of other professional chambers and communities as well. You may be part of, you're running a whole show, you're a husband, you have these daughters. How do you do a work-life balance?
It's tough. You know, Life is tough, anyways. Work, home, kids, their activities. But again, like I said, without a proper support, nothing happens. My wife is very supportive. She led me away from a lot of stuff that I should be involved in. But she knows that what I'm trying to build and what we're all trying to build is amazing. It's a It's something I'm very excited about. So I've been protected a lot by her, but I do get involved in a lot of sports and activities with my kids. Uh, but I think without a strong family support, nothing is done.
Absolutely, so rightly said. It's a family that brings the balance, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, so rightly said. If I may also go ahead and ask you, like you've done your studies from the Hawaiian Pacific University. Hawaii is actually a very place, moment you say you've been in Hawaii and people have their eyebrows raised.
yeah.
Oh God, you studying there? Who are you actually studying there? If I may ask, it's a
Never
candid.
studied. Sorry, never
I
studied.
actually, the moment I got it, it said Hawaiian Pacific University. I said I must ask you this question.
It's tough. It's a very tough one. I'm not a studious guy. I'm more of a street smart guy. But Hawaii instilled such a amazing uh, philosophy, you can say, or define who I am or who I became. I think it's phenomenal. Hawaii is all about ohana. Ohana means family, which is very Punjabi. You know, it's your community. It's where you live. It's
Right.
That's who you are. And Hawaii, I grew up with Hawaiians. I grew up with Chinese and Indians and you know the Howleys, what they call the white people. It's a real melting pot. And then if you learn from every culture and every background people come from, it's amazing. Everybody has unique things to give. And I think for me, as I grew up, I took a lot from a lot of different cultures. Even while I was growing up, I grew up in Southeast Asia, and then I lived in Africa because my parents moved every 3 years. So I was already a very global person. We lived all over the place. But when I came to Hawaii, it was just reinforced that, you know what, we're all same. We have Majority of us is same with our little niches that we all bring in. And if you take those and you absorb them, you become a better person. You understand other people much better because you know why they do what they do. So
Right.
I think growing up, I don't know by education, but otherwise in my life, I think I learned a lot on how to deal with people, how different cultures are, and how you can bring people together. So to me, that was more of a value growing up in Hawaii than anything else. But I did do a master's and I did finish my bachelor's degree against all odds.
Yeah, and the odds would be the beaches, probably.
Uh,
So,
Way more than that. Beaches
yeah,
is
I
just
know,
one
I
part.
know. Yeah,
Hawaii
because
is amazing. It's an amazing place.
yeah,
You can travel anywhere in the world, and I can assure you, there's nothing like Hawaii.
right.
It's not just the beauty; it's the culture that Hawaii
Culture.
has. Is so amazing, so amazing. Yeah.
Uh, One more thing that strikes me is that you mentioned that your family was in South Africa, Southeast
So,
Africa, and
the whole of
then
Southern Africa, yeah.
Southern Africa, and then you moved on to the US. So, any roots that you have back in India, or do you visit India sometimes?
For a long time I didn't, and then as my business was growing, we opened a office in Noida. So now I do get to visit India at least twice a year. I have my mom's family still there. Some of my dad's family is there, but a lot of them migrated here. Either they are in the U.S. or they're in Europe. But like Punjabis, we move. We're
Yeah.
nomads. Wherever we see opportunity, we want it. So
Yes.
yeah, my family is all over here. I do, like I said, have some family, but it's my maternal side. But yeah, we're in touch. We stay in touch. And every time I get a chance, I definitely go see them.
Super. Now you have a bigger community, with PCC India.
Yeah. No, I look
So,
forward to seeing you guys in one of yeah.
yes, I too would be very excited to see you because now virtually I've connected, but it would be great.
Yes.
So lovely talking to you, Mr. Chima. My
Same
one
here.
of the questions is that you had a great exposure to life, business, traveling between continents. What are the two or three lessons that you would want to give to people who will be listening to you?
I think one is to be open. Don't close your mind. just because you're not comfortable with something, that doesn't mean it's not good. It's okay to accept the way other people do things. And I think as a human being, that should be one of the lessons you should always have is keep your mind open. It's okay to try different things, and it's okay to accept other people the way they do their things. I remember first time in Malaysia, we were very little, and there's a fruit called durian. I don't know if you know, it's a very smelly fruit. And I used to be like, bah! Oh my God, you guys are disgusting. And they would be offended. They'd be like, dude, this is like a national fruit. I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, it sucks, it smells. But but that's what they eat. It's like a mango for them. So, I opened, closed my nose first time and I ate it. And I was like, whoa, this is really good. And, not that I'm a big fan of it, but it made me appreciate the fact that something that you don't like doesn't mean it's good.
Right.
It's not good. If it's bad for you, that's okay. But that don't criticize and don't just walk away and say, you guys suck. It's not the right attitude. Attitude has to be positive. You got to learn, you got to accept, and, adapt based on what you learn.
Right. The best part uh, that you just said is adaptability. And I think we as Punjabis we are very adaptable to
Very.
any place. And I
Yes.
remember, uh, when India got its independence, it was the Punjabis, the Sikh small community, which was sent to the Andamans and Nicobar Islands to help it, set up to flourish. And this is a set of soldiers. And I think that's something that, what you just said, it just brought
Yeah.
my memory.
It's in our genes. I think
It's
Punjabi genes are very solid, and I think we take challenges. I think a lot of people will not take challenges that Punjabis take because we have it in us. It's in our genes. It's given to us by our gurus and our leaders.
absolutely.
Definitely, I think we're those trailblazers.
And along with challenges, the risk that we take, we don't mind taking that risk.
It's sometimes too risky, but
And at the end of it, people will say it's hopeless to tell them. Let them
yeah,
just do their bit. They'll learn
yes,
it themselves. So they don't want to
that's who we
push.
are. We have to do what we do.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. One last question that comes to my mind is your views and how you look at PCC growing in the coming years.
I think we have a long way to go, and there's so many things that we all want to do. And for me, one of my biggest thing is that I want to bring the youth into it. I think youth is the future. And I think we need to not only support, but help our youth that is not too privileged, even here. And we want to help people in Punjab for sure. We want to give them right tools so they can grow and get educated and create those channels for themselves. And similarly here too, there's a lot of youth that you know, is lost to in certain areas. And I think for me, one of my things that I want to do is to bring them in our fold and help them, achieve goals that maybe they're not capable of doing themselves. So yeah,
Mm.
definitely one of the things that I want to do is help people here also.
That's such a noble thought, I would say, that, the youth, which is going to be PCC of tomorrow,
Yes,
needs to be, taken into our folds under our wings. So very important that you just said. I think with all these questions that I've been asking, some have been very, very candid. Some have, brought the smile on your face and a big laughter. Probably some would have helped you to, suddenly go back to your memory lane. I'm glad that I shared this space with you. And I'm very proud to be on the board of Punjabi Chamber of Commerce. And I would love to, interact more as to how
100%.
I can be part of a helping hand, I would say. I'm not too very big, but then whatever best I can contribute in best of my capabilities.
No, I think you've done a great job, and I appreciate you being part of our community and the chamber. We need people like you to get us all together. So
Yes, and this was one of the things which when came to me, I said, yeah, yeah, without even knowing whom I'm going to talk to, and what is the talk going to be about. And it was just I said, yes, I have to do this because when you're part of a community, you need to know who are the people behind this thought and why did they do so. But I'm glad that I could derive so much out of you, that there is so much of passion that I see. There is so much of Punjabiyat that I hear when you speak. There is so much of oneness that you want to do. Uh, and the best part is that you're open and you're adaptable. I'm so glad that on behalf of the chamber, that I had the interaction and the first chance to interact with one of the greatest trustees that people
Uh,
may would want to know the inside now.
yeah, one of them, and I'm telling you, our trusteeship is amazing. We have some
I'm
serious leaders in our,
sure, I'm
yeah.
sure after hearing you, I'm sure it would be just a bubble that would burst when you all would be getting together, and it would be very hard to handle each one of you.
Oh yeah, it's fun. We have a good group of people for sure.
And we're looking forward to, each one of you visiting India, which is now
100%.
growing.
Yes.
And it's such a pleasure connecting with you. On the closing note, I would want to thank you for sparing this lovely moments with me and people who will be listening to you after, we've switched off from here. So thank you very much for your
Thank you.
time. I'm
Thank you
so
very
glad.
much for having
Thank
me.
you very much.